Good evening and welcome to another walk and talk with Duffy and I think she spotted something over the bush there. Tonight's topic is emotion. Now, I don't just mean emotions in general, I mean emotion in business. Quite a controversial topic really, and you hear lots of different opinions about, whether emotion has a place in business or not. You may have your own opinion on this. I'm going to share mine. So, emotion is an integral part of being a human being. And if you subscribe to the notion that talent and people are your most valuable assets in a business, then you want to tap into that whole person. And specifically, you want to bring that whole person to work, so they don't feel like they have to leave certain parts of their personality or their being in their house when they come in every day. We've all been there. Not a good place to be. And frankly, you're not going to give your all for a company where you don't feel like you can be yourself. Now, emotions are a big part of who you are, what you care about, what you feel about, etc. But let's examine why emotions are bad. Let's examine why people quite often ask you to stop being emotional and try and be objective in your conversations at work. I can tell you now, as you become a more senior leader in a business, what happens is there's a lot of people in your organisation, and those people have lives and things happen in them. And this could be inside of work, it can be outside of work. Now, invariably, most people don't just ring you, if you've got 50 people in your organisation, to say how good their day's been or how delightful they found working in your team and the culture that's there. It's not often that happens. Normally, the sorts of communications that find their way to you as a leader, they tend to be escalations. And escalations are when things have gone wrong. So this means that people are usually quite emotional. They're disappointed, they're angry, they're worried, they're panicking, they're concerned, all of these different emotions. Now, the thing about emotion, especially if you're a human being, is it's exhausting. It's exhausting when you yourselves are having the emotion, and it's also exhausting when you have someone pouring their emotion onto you. And when you've got 50 plus people in your org, or even just more than 7, in fact, first line leadership, when you've got 7 people in a team or 6 or 7 people in a team, that can be exhausting when you have all 7 of them having issues or challenges. There can be a perfect storm there. So emotion is draining. It feels chaotic and counterproductive. It doesn't feel like you're moving towards anything. So I can understand why people want emotions to be in check. But there's a point where it goes too far. Emotion is useful because when someone's emotional, it means they give a they care. That's passion, right? You can't teach someone that. That's innate. So emotion is very useful. Just too much emotion is overwhelming and exhausting. So when you think about the sorts of people that call for zero emotion in meetings or conversations, they're probably just exhausted. Or even worse, they're probably a psychopath. And yes, they would prefer that you don't bring emotion to work because, one, they find that a bit tricky to understand and empathise with, but they're the masters of logic, right? They emotion doesn't get in the way of their decisioning, and they don't want your emotion getting in the way of decisioning either. So emotionless environments are not good either. They make ways for psychopaths and They take all the soul and all the passion out of the business, and people struggle to care. So, what is the right amount of emotion? Good question. I think that's subjective to the moment, etc., etc. But I've got a couple of viewpoints on this. Emotion's great if you've channeled it. What I mean by that is, if you've experienced the emotion, you've had the feelings, you've sat with them for a bit, you've wrestled with them on your own for a period of time before dumping them immediately on a co-worker or a friend or a boss, and you've tried to think through your options. Right, I'm back. We had to disappear momentarily there because this little one decided to go and say hello to some people, and in the dusk, as you can see, it is getting dark. That can be quite scary when a big black dog comes running up to you and the owner is chatting away like a lunatic on his phone. So, if you have channeled your emotion, and what I mean by that is you've experienced it, you've let it motivate you, and then you've been able to think about the logical side of what is going on. You've considered solutions, and you've forced yourself to think about the logic as well as the emotion. That then becomes workable. Now, I can tell you now, as a leader, your job at that point, when you're seeing this emotion, but you're also seeing the logical thought, is to again help them channel that emotion. Rather than stamp on it, rather than goad them out or exacerbate that emotion. Come on, we've all been there. You're clearly passionate about a subject and someone says, don't get emotional. Sorry, what does that even mean? Don't get emotional. If I am already emotional, it's done. The horse has bolted. All you're doing is trying to piss me off some more. So, as a leader, don't do that. Don't goad people when they're clearly emotional. Try to guide it. Try to channel it into the right direction. And if you do that successfully, you will get a highly motivated, highly invested employee working in the right direction. So, in summary, is emotion good in business? Yes. Is too much emotion good in business? No. Should you do the work and wrestle with your emotion and explore the logical paths before offloading onto people? Yes. Should you, as a leader, try to stamp out emotion? Hell no. Should you goad people when they are emotional? No. Should you try to help them channel it? Should you use your experience and your knowledge to do that? 100% yes. There you go. There's my thoughts on emotion in business. Just as the moon is about to reveal itself. Say goodbye, Duffy.